Hello everybody, welcome back to RBA Airsoft, and I'm Red Bearded Anubis. Today we're back with another tabletop review of one of my favorite sidearms ever. I honestly like it. I've had it in my collection for a very long time. Today we are looking at the KJW M9A1 Co2 version. This is an Airsoft Replica based on the M9A1 by Beretta. It is a full-size service pistol gas blowback with snappy recoil, solid durability, and good value. It doesn't feel like a toy, even though it is. We'll cover the build quality, the features, performance, gas efficiency, and what it's like to actually see and use in a game. We'll have some footage in there, of course. And with its tabletop review, I will talk about my experience with it in my collection for an extended period of time. This is officially the longest still functioning replica in my Airsoft collection. It has lasted the longest. It just keeps going, and we're going to talk about it right here. Alright, so basically what is this thing? This thing is part of the KJW M9 lineup. You have the CO2 version, which basically takes CO2 mags. That's all it means. And then you have the green gas version. There are two other versions, basically one with a rail and one without a rail. The one without a rail is called the M9 Government. I have that one as well. It functions just like this. It's basically the same pistol. The only difference is that this one has the frame with the rail on it and the other one does not. It is a blowback slide lock on empty action, as you guys can see here. Does have adjustable hop-up. We'll talk about that later when we get to the internals. Overall, this is a hefty pistol, coming in at about 2 pounds loaded, I want to say, roughly. It definitely feels, it's full metal construction, very solid. It's based on a Tokyo Marui design, which is why the decocker does not work, which is why you guys see me ride the trigger and the hammer to lower it down to half cock, or just pull it and go from there. Basically what you got here is a full metal gas blowback that can take CO2, but it works on the Tokyo Marui design. So basically what that means is with all their M9s, so this is on the real steel variant, supposed to decock the pistol. So the hammer is supposed to go from single action back down to double action when you lower the safety catch. Problem is, it doesn't work. There's only a very few M9 style pistols on the market. I think the KSC or KWC, I forget which one exactly, because I don't have it, but I know one of them has a decocker that actually functions, kind of like the PX4. The PX4 is a Beretta style single double action that actually has a functioning decocker, which is kind of cool. So that's one little thing about it. So once it's in single action ready to fire, that's what you got. If you wanted to put it in double action, basically what I have been prone to doing is once I load the magazine, I'll rack the pistol and then I'll drop the mag a little bit, pull the trigger, put the mag back in, and then I'll have it in double action. So what is double action, single action? Let's talk about that for those that don't know real steel. Basically what that means is when you come up with it and the hammer's down like this, you're going to have that very long trigger pull for that first shot. Second shot, it'll recoil, reset the hammer, and then a very short reset. And honestly, most people will just leave it in semi or single action anyway, because it's a much less trigger pull than the full double action. So A lot of people, some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I love single double action. I think it's great on real steel pistols. I have a real steel M9, and yeah, I know that first shot double action like it's the back of my hand. And honestly, this trigger is not bad. It's pretty close. There is more a stiffness, I guess. That's not really a good word for it, but there's more resistance on a real steel. This one is definitely broken in, this pistol in general, because I've had it for so long. But no, it functions great. I love it. It also is sold without official trademarks. That was never really an issue for me. I'm not one about it has to have perfect trades. As long as it functions and it looks correct and it is the overall shape and size, then I'm a fan of it. So with that said, this pistol, it does have trades, no. It does have the KJ Works symbol on the grip, which is where you can find a lot of their pistols, but it's not really correct per se. There is a warning here: read manual before use, retract slide if loaded, fires without magazine. I mean, no it doesn't. No it doesn't. Does not fire. I mean, that's a holdover. That's pretty much the real trademark. That's the only real one on there. Other than that, everything else is KJ Works. It has a KJ Works serial number on this side, on the bottom, on the top of the rail here, and this rail does fit any modern optic. I like my TRL 1 high lumen by Streamlight that I use, which locks into the Omnivore holster, which is great because as long as that light's on the pistol, it'll lock into the holster. That's why I use it. The magazines, both the green gas and also the CO2 magazines are about 24 rounds. It is a double stack style magazines. Pull the follower down, load through the bottom of the channel here. And yeah, these magazines are reliable to a degree. There are some quirks about them. The green gas ones, if you don't leave a little, just like most green gas pistols or green gas guns, if you don't leave a little residual green gas in there, it'll mess up your seals and they'll dry out. CO2 on the other hand, with these are a little different. I used to leave the CO2 jewels in there when I didn't know what I was doing, and it really messed with the seals of the gun and caused leaking. With CO2, your biggest bet is to remove the CO2 jewel once you are complete. Also, another issue I've had with these is the locking screw on the bottom where the CO2 jewel goes is very finicky with threads. You need to make sure you line it up appropriately when you put it in. They give you an Allen key with your magazines to make it easier, obviously, which is great. But yeah, you want to make sure that when you are putting a CO2 jewel in these magazines that you legitimately don't mess up the threads, because that can be a weak point. Also, I know some of these spring guides here can break off. Personally, I like to grab right here and pull down. That way, when I'm putting the base plate back on when I'm done, I just slide it back on and then put that up there. You can do the same to open it too. You can push from the top, but honestly, the easiest way is just grab here, pull off the base, do the thing, put it back on, and then release that spring. That way you don't have risk of that breaking, because that can happen. I've had to replace 2 of these magazines over the years just because I didn't know what I was doing. Once I knew what I was doing, though, it worked fine. FPS with 20 gram BBs, this thing is within plus or minus about 345 to 355 feet per second, which is right around CQB levels for this, so that's great. with CO2. So I know some places, especially if you're in colder temperatures, you want to go with CO2 magazines. Make sure your gun can handle it. You want to cross-check and double-check this. I know these can, which is why I got it, because I do live in colder temperatures and I can't play with green gas all year round, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. These do take the regular standard green gas magazines, which just look just like this without the hole in the magazine for the CO2 joule, and it's a gas reservoir instead. They function fine. They interchange perfectly with this. I've seen no issues with it at all. So that's good to know, and for future use, so you can use both. Maybe your field is a little too hot to carry CO2 mags. That's fine. They have green gas available, and the green gas works great. If you want a standard M9A1, then, and the biggest difference between an M9 and an M9A1 is the rail section on the bottom, and why the M9A1 was created, because the US Marine Corps wanted a pistol that had a possibility for a light mount. So this is actually a US Marine Corps pattern pistol based on the original M9 design by Beretta, or 92FS. 92FS, M9, it's basically the same pistol. There are some minor differences, but it's the same pistol. All right, let's talk about performance with this pistol. This pistol, it's important to know that with CO2 or with green gas, it is very accurate. We'll show some footage here of using the pistol in a match, and honestly, to tell you the truth, it performs well. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. The shots are consistent, they are accurate. Once you dial in the hop-up of the pistol, it is pretty much set. I dialed in the hop-up of this pistol probably 20 years ago, and it's still functioning. How to access the hop on these Tokyo Marui styled M9 pistols is kind of annoying, but once you know how to do it, it's not bad. Plus, you don't have to worry about adjusting during game, which I really do like. It's not something you can do on the field, though. You do need an Allen key, so it's better to set up your hop beforehand before getting into a match, and that way you know if your BBs are going to fly straight. So basically, disassembly of the pistol is actually very simple. What we're going to do here is we're just going to push the button on the right side of the frame here. That pushes in our takedown lever on our right side. Push that down like a real M9. Make sure the magazine is out and the gun is empty. After that's done, just pull the slide forward and it comes off. That's pretty much the same assembly that you got on a real one. We'll just put that there for now. With this, your hop-up adjustment here is going to be this hole right here, right behind the recoil spring on the main housing. And you just put the Allen key in there, adjust in small increments. I forget which way. I honestly forget which way is up and down, but again, I've set it and it's just stayed. So with that said, this really just stays put. Don't have any problems with it. Never had to mess with it since then. The nozzle and everything else has never had to been replaced. It has held up to the test of time, especially under CO2. And that's one of the issues you could have with CO2 is if your pistol's not really meant for it, then you could run into reliability issues or parts breakage. I have not had an issue with this pistol. That's why I love it so much. It is one of the best in my arsenal, in my opinion. Once you put the gun back in the slide lock, the takedown lever slides back up and locks back into place, and you are good to go on that. If in terms of realism, it does feel like a real pistol. Yeah, it doesn't have the trademarks, but it works great in that aspect. The sights are accurate. I never had any issue with the 3-dot sights that are on this pistol. Safety does work. Personally, I don't care about it, but it does disconnect the trigger, so you won't have any issues with that. Doesn't have a decocker, which I wish it did. If it did, I would make this pistol a perfect sidearm that I would probably always use, but hey, I still love it. I still use it to this day. Alright, so basically with the maintenance of this pistol, because it does use CO2 and it doesn't have that silicone oil that green gas has, if you don't use green gas mags on this, because basically what green gas does, it's propane plus silicone oil. That makes green gas. And it will lubricate your pistols over time, which will give it a little oil. Now you should do some preventative maintenance on it. And my biggest thing is when this pistol is disassembled, you put some oil on the rails, very light. You can even use regular gun oil on the rails to keep it form and functioning. This has worn down over time because of prolonged use, as you can see, which I'm okay with, because again, this thing is butter smooth now. Absolutely no resistance. It functions great with a little bit of oil and maintenance. Nothing too crazy, not like a real gun. I honestly have not had any issues with it. Pros on this pistol: if you want a full metal feel with a substantial weight in hand, that's great. Compatibility of CO2 and green gas magazines is also great if you live in cold temperatures and want to play year round. Adjustable hop up, which stays in place, which is important. The rail for modern attachments, light laser, that type deal. Sadly, it's not been milled for a red dot. And then you can typically expect good ranges out of this. Honestly, I don't know the exact range. I never fully measured it, but on a basic CQB field with even long range areas that they have, I've been able to hit targets downrange with this perfectly fine. Is it as long as a rifle with a longer barrel? No. Does it work? Yes. Is there major drop off even with the hop up fully dialed up? No. I use .3 BBs on this. It hops it perfectly fine, and they send them downrange with authority, and people know when they're hit. I love this thing. So if you want a full-size M9 pistol with the options for a rail that has CO2 and green gas compatibility, I would recommend the KJW Works M9A1, one of my favorite pistols in my collection, the longest serving pistol in my collection. And with that note, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you found this tabletop review to be helpful in any way, please hit the like, share, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we got more airsoft content coming on the channel very soon. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and of course we shall see you on the next one. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.